Alright guys, so for this video we're going to talk about how to look at doing piecewise functions of graphs that are 2 to 3 pieces long. So on these, let's look at what it means to be less than -4. This means to go less than, so kind of drawing a number line with this. Say you're at -4. Since that's equals to, not only would it be open, it's also solid. And any number that we see that we're trying to find the function of that's less than -4, we're going to use for this piece. So like -5, -6, all the way to -infinity. For the next piece, this is what I kind of like to call the in-betweens. On a number line, the lowest number on this piece that we're allowed to plug the numbers in for x would be from -4, but open circle since there's no shading, and any number all the way up to 3, and since there's a line here we'd have the shading, and all the numbers between here would be allowed. So -4, -3, let's not try to fill these in, but only the numbers that's between these two. And then last, let's look at greater than 3. So if we had the greater than 3 part, any number that is 3 but it has to be bigger since there's no line, this would be the piece we plug into x. So for sake of work, I'm just going to say that I'm going to put scrap on another sheet. So we're going to evaluate all of these, but we're going to use this function up here to evaluate them. So, well, I guess for number 7, we won't need scrap work because we only are doing one thing. So we need to figure out which piece the -9 fits in. So since -9 is less than or equal to -4, we will be plugging it only into the line f of x is equal to the absolute value of x plus 2. So we're going to find the function at -9, and we'll find the absolute value of -9 plus 2. And here, the absolute value of -9, remember anything absolute value turns positive, so 9 plus 2. So the function at -9 would be at 11, and that is our final answer for that piece. We're going to go ahead and look at number 9 since it's only asking for one piece. So since -1 is not smaller than -4, we ignore this line. But -1 is in between this value here. So since -1 goes here, which instead of x I should put a -1, we will use the line f of x is equal to x minus 5 squared. So f of -1 would equal -1 minus 5 squared. This will become -6 squared. And whenever you square a negative number, it turns positive. So the function at -1 would equal 36. But the issue comes when you have to value stuff such as this. So I'm going to call this little piece of paper scrap work for selected problems. So the first thing we're going to have to do, we need to evaluate f of -4 and plus 3 of 7. So for number 8, I need to first evaluate f of -4 to the side somewhere. So -4 is technically less than or equal to -4. So we're going to plug this into the piece that is the absolute value of x plus 2. And at this point I'm going to show you guys a little cheat you can do. But if I'm going to find f of -4, we're going to plug in -4 plus 2 like so. Now just a reminder of how to do absolute value in the calculator. If you can see this okay enough, we can hit math and go over to number and go to ABS and I can type in negative 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. So we'll end up with 4 plus 2, and the function at negative 4 is equal to 6. So that's not the final answer, but that's a piece we need. Another piece we need for this problem is f of 7, because that's the next function. So looking here, 7 is not less than negative 4. 7 is not between negative 4 and 3. However, since 7 is greater than 3, we will plug it into the line f of x is equal to 6 minus x. So to find the function at 7, we will do 6 minus 7, and 6 minus 7 will give you negative 1. Now that is not our final answer. We are now going to plug in information. So we will plug in, since the formula says to do f negative 4 plus 3 f of 7. So we're going to replace the negative 4 with 6, and we're going to replace the f of 7 with negative 1. This would become 6 plus negative 3. So our final answer would be negative 3 by the time we are through. So I just rewrote this as the stream of thought you're actually going to do on your worksheet. So moving on to number 10, we will do kind of the same concept. So for number 10, we're trying to find f of 1 and f of 4. So the first thing we want to do for scrap work for number 10 is we're going to find f of 4, and we're also going to find f of 1. So let's do f of 1 first, and then we're going to find f of 4. So we look at our information. So we need to figure out 1 is not less than here, but 1 would fit in this middle piece. So since negative 4 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 3, we're going to plug that 1 into the f of x is equal to x minus 5 squared. So we're going to do f of 1 is equal to 1 minus 5 raised to the second power. So this will end up being negative 4 to the second power. And at this point, you square negative 4, so you're at 16. So the function at negative 1, the function at 1 will be 16. So now we're going to look at f of 4. So since 4 is greater than 3, f of x, we're going to use the last line, 6 minus x. So we'll have 6 minus 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So there's the function at 4. And we'll need this for the last piece. So now we're going to look back at the question. So it's going to be f of 1 plus 2 f of 4. So since the number 1, oh yeah, we already found it. So we're going to replace f of 1 with 16. And then we're going to replace the f of 4 with 2. So this would turn into 16 plus 4. So your final answer should be 20. And this would be your final answer. So there, I just recopied it onto the paper. And now we're going to look at question 11. So question 11 is asking us to find f of 0 minus 3f of 5. So we need to find f of 0, and we need to find f of 5. So let me just draw a line because I got too much stuff close together. So 0, once again, is between negative 4 is less than 0 less than 3. So I wish I could be consistent. But So we're going to use the function f of x is equal to x minus 5 squared. So we're going to do 0 minus 5 squared, which gives us negative 5 squared, and this is us plugging in 0. So the function at 0 would be positive 25. So we will need this in a few minutes. So the number 5, since 5 is greater than 3, we're going to use f of x is equal to 6 minus x. So we're going to have 6 minus 5. So this would become 1. So now actually trying to solve out the problem where we have f of 0 minus 3 f of 5. We're going to replace f of 0 with 25 minus 3, and we're going to replace this with 1. So this becomes 25 minus 3, which our final answer would be 22. So I'll just pause the video while I rewrote the stuff to put on the paper. So this is all the steps you went through. So we're going to do one more example for this video. So we're going to look at question 12. So we're going to have to find f of negative 4 and find f of 10 first. So the first thing on 12 is we're going to have to find f of negative 4 and then find f of 10. So these are going to be the two things we're going to find first using our formulas. So let's look at the negative 4. Negative 4 is in this number line. It's strictly less than or equal to negative 4. So we're going to use, since negative 4 is less than or equal to negative 4, make sure I did that, yep. We're going to use f of x is equal to the absolute value of x plus 2. It might help if I put it on the screen. So we're going to find the absolute value of negative 4 plus 2. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4, so 4 plus 2, so f of negative 4 is 6. I feel like we did that earlier. I'm sure we did. Now to find f of 10, 10 is greater than 3, so we're going to use the f of x is equal to 6 minus x. So the function at 10 will equal 6 minus 10. So the function at 10 would equal negative 4. So I'm going to rewrite this function that's here on the paper slightly off the screen. Okay, so this is the function. So what we're going to do is everywhere we see the f stuff, we're going to plug in the numbers. So we'll have 1/2 of 6 plus negative 4 squared. So the first thing we need to do first is the negative 4 squared by order of operations. So negative 4 squared is 16. Half of 6 is 3. And all that work just to get 19. So I'm going to pause this video and rewrite it on the paper at the last steps. Alright, so this is all the videos for this. You can see the rest of the notes on the rest of the examples on the page in the Google Classroom. But hopefully you enjoyed this as much as I did.